Now say it with me. I will not accept a life I do not deserve. I'm Cody, the dude who loves movies, and I'm a fucking YouTube star. I kind of sound more like Forrest Gump. But Lieutenant Dan, you ain't got no legs.
Dan it, dude who loves movies. Dan it, dude who loves movies.
What's up, dudes and dudettes? My name's Cody, and I'm just Dude Loves Movies. Today, I want to talk about the third installment in the Ty West X Trilogy, Maxine. So A24 is really hit or miss for me. And the reason why it's a miss a lot of times is because it gets way too overhyped. But I think I know what I have to do when it comes to A24 horror movies is you have to see them opening weekend before they get overhyped. So when X came out, I saw the trailer before Scream 5, and I was like, it looks okay. And then I saw A24, so I kind of wrote it off. But then my friend actually dragged me to the theater to go see it opening weekend before I heard anything about it, and I absolutely fell in love with X. And then after the credits, all of a sudden they show a trailer for the next one, which is Pearl, the prequel. It's like surprised all the audience members, all the fans. So there's this big hype for Maxine. So Maxine had this big pedestal, and it was my number one movie, the number one anticipated movie of 2024 for me. Did it live up to the hype though? Maxine takes place 6 years after the events of X. So this is 1985, and I'm a sucker for movies set in the 80s. I love the 80s, but this isn't like your polished glamour 80s. This is Hollywood 80s, like real life 80s. So it's kind of like the grungy stuff you don't really see on TV anymore. This movie oozes the 80s, but it's not using the 80s as a character. It's more using it as a backdrop, which is something we don't see a lot lately. The 80s isn't in your face, but it kind of looks like you rented a movie from the video store, put it in, and it was made in the 80s. Like, it looks like it was made in the 80s. It doesn't look like it was catered to look like it was in the 80s, which is pretty cool. And there's no spoilers in this, but I do want to mention some small things. Like, I love product placement, so there's old Coke cans on the theater. They were playing St. Elmo's Fire. They also had Casey Kasem on the radio doing his top 40, which I loved listening to in the 90s. And they also had this is just a small thing that I noticed on Maxine's kitchen counter. She had old school McDonald's breakfast, which I thought was pretty cool. And I kept staring at it the whole time, every time she was in her kitchen. But that's just me. I always look at old things in the background. I love in 80s and 90s movies when they have scenes in grocery stores. I like looking at the product on the shelf in the back, like looking at the old school, Doritos bag or the old school Pepsi container and all that kind of stuff. I'm weird. I'm always looking at the bag, or if there's magazines, who's on the magazine, or if there's a movie coming out, what's a new movie coming out. Same with when they go next to theaters. I'm always looking at the poster to see what's playing or what's on the marquee. Am I the only one that does that? The acting in this movie is phenomenal, which is no surprise. We got Mia Goth coming back, killing it. Mia Goth is an effing star. And then you have Kevin Bacon, who is a great addition. I'm a huge Bacon fan. And I've heard some people are very disappointed that they think Mia Goth or Maxine didn't really have much to do in this one as she did in the previous two. Now, don't get me wrong, she is the main character and the main focus in this, but I'm talking about, scene stealing moments, which she does have. She has an open or monologue towards the beginning that's phenomenal. And then, there's one moment, again, no spoilers, but there's a moment that takes place in an alleyway, and something happens, and you're like, okay, you quickly remember who we're dealing with here, and you know that Maxine is no one to mess with. And that was a great moment, and it kind of brought me back to oh yeah, we're dealing with Maxine here. Before the third act, there's also a very mini 80s montage, if you can call it that, which I'm a sucker for. I call it more of it's kind of like in the Batman movies from 89 to 97, when Batman's getting ready and suiting up. There's a kind of a cool little scene like that in there that I really appreciated. And the soundtrack to this movie, which I was not surprised, is an absolute banger. They use some really cool songs that may not actually, they don't, if you were telling me they would be in there, I'd be like, okay, well, they don't really fit, but they do. And I really enjoyed and appreciated the songs that they used. They weren't the cookie cutter songs that they usually just throw into the 80s style movies. So I really did like it. I've had the song Betty Davis Eyes on repeat ever since I saw this movie. I do feel like this movie has very high expectations, and some people might be very disappointed in this one. This one is the more commercial one, where you have X and Pearl that were more A24 artsy, where this one was more, like I said, commercial. Like, this is the one that, like, it looks like it was more Hollywood produced, and that might turn some people off. And I think another thing people are going to be kind of disappointed in, or think it was just kind of obvious, which I thought it was obvious, but I was watching it with my friend, and halfway during the movie, he's like, "Hey, I think blah 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 is the killer," and I was, in my mind, I was like, "Well, yeah, I just assumed that ever since I saw it." You know, like again, without giving too much away, if you know the franchise. And, like, even when they came out with a synopsis to this movie, I was like, oh, this person is blah, blah, blah. Like, I just assumed that this person was involved. And that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say about that. I do want to kind of stop talking because I'm afraid I'm going to give out too much information. Doing spoiler-free reviews, if you don't know, is kind of hard. Or they're more difficult than doing spoiler reviews. If you do want to hear more spoilers, I did a longer formed video panel with nerdy film girl Tracy over on her channel. I'll put the links in the description. It's a great discussion. We dive more deeper into this, and you get 4 people's point of views on this movie. And they're all different, yet kind of similar. And it's just great. So check it out. So guys, I really dug Maxine. This was, like I said, my number one anticipated movie of 2024. Was it my favorite movie of 2024? Well, my favorite movie of 2024 up to this point was Abigail. I really liked that movie, and I haven't seen many new movies this year, but I really did enjoy Abigail. Do I like this one more than Abigail? I would say probably yes. I don't know if it's because it's the one that's more fresh in my mind and I'm hyped up on it. But I would say that I do like it, but I need to see Abigail again. I saw Maxine twice because I really wanted to get this trilogy ranking in order. Because the first time I watched it, I was like, okay, I really like this, but I don't love it. The second time I watched it, I actually really liked it a lot more. So I think what I'm going to do, Pearl is my least favorite, then Maxine in the middle, and then X is my favorite. I feel like X is the better movie, the better made movie, and I think that Maxine is the more rewatchable movie. Like, this is a movie I'd pop in more often than I would X. And I'd love to hear your ranking down below if you've seen them all. And let me know if you are going to plan on seeing Maxine, or if you saw it and you didn't like it. Because I know that this is a divisive movie. Some people are liking it, some people are absolutely hating it. So let me know down in the comments. The Dude approves. Now, do I believe that this is the last one in this story? Yes and no. They keep calling it the trilogy, so I think they're going to keep it a trilogy. But I also see that there is more story that could be told in maybe 8 to 10 years. And it'd be cool to see these characters kind of set in the 90s, see what's going on, and catch up with some of these characters then. Don't forget to roundhouse kick that like button, comment, subscribe, follow me on Instagram. That's DudeWhoLovesMovies, one word. Cheers, who's respecting. Have a great day. But Lieutenant Dan, you ain't got no legs.